Is Hillary dead or alive? Dead. September the 4th, 2016. It's up to people what people believe. It's kind of difficult when they're seeing an entity that looks similar. But if you type in Hillary Clinton and images, you'll see there's a number of them, or there was. Not so much now. You know, people don't age drastically overnight from one picture to another, and they certainly don't put on or lose weight at a drastic measure over a couple of hours or days. And they certainly don't turn up at two places at once. Oops. So, you know, it's kind of difficult. We know she died. You know, I got several intelligence reports confirming it. It wasn't just from one source. But, you know, trying telling people who are not awake that Hillary is dead when they're seeing something resembling it on the TV is kind of difficult to comprehend. George Soros, dead or alive? Dead. Died in November 2017. Can demons be passed on to human offspring through contracts made by our mothers? I would say no, but I don't. Not saying that with 100% validity behind it. You have described how the energies of sexual partners remain in our PSI field and bodies for up to 7 years after sex. Can you please refer me to any sources of knowledge that describe how to remove hooks and attachments, revoking consent, and ground and shielding assists with the process? Sources of knowledge, none to my knowledge. Maybe one day if I get time, I may do a piece on it. That type of work is kind of pointless unless you are in tune with yourself, and really in tune with yourself, and some of your junk DNA is switched on, which is not the case for most people on this planet, because they're trapped in the lower astral. You know, unless you can see without using your eyes, it's rather difficult to describe how to do that if you can't see. We regularly hear about how Trump is or isn't doing what he's supposed to do. From our point, could you talk a little bit about his equivalent in the East? Mr. Putin has been keeping up in recent times, and just in general touch on Russia. Anything new or more about the energies there? No, on that point. Do you have something to say about the famous Edgar Cayce quote, "Through Russia comes the hope of the world"? Well, it did, and it can again. You know, there's large sections of the Russian people who have been taught much differently to those of us in the Western world. And even if it's not Mr. Putin, it doesn't have to be Mr. Putin. Why does it have to be the Russian PM? Why can't it be a Russian person, an average, everyday Russian person? Why do we always look to famous people to start a movement or to validate a movement? Putin's got the same standing as anybody else in Russia, albeit he does an important job. But lots of people do important jobs. The people that sweep streets or clean toilets, they're important jobs. If they don't do it, we're all going to get sick. So everyone plays a role. Putin is largely focused on Russia. He has enough issues to deal with in Russia with the rogue Red Dragon, not the clown ambassador, the actual Red Dragon, and the deep state there, backed by Gorbachev's former buddies and the KGB and their oligarchs. So he has enough on his plate without interfering with any other country, never mind America. Please explain what will be given to the people. Is it real assets, as in gold, silver or paper currency? Or is it free properties, goods and services? Well, the gold will be used as the asset backed, but it won't go to the people. It will go be safeguarded by people who will have cleaned house by then, because we will not be releasing any of those assets until there's been a fairly extensive clean-up. And so what will go to the people is funding through the projects. It may see actual cash per se, but a lot of it will go through projects which will help people, and it's up to the people to come up with ideas and how it's best to use those funds in a maximum way and a maximum benefit for as many people as possible. It's not going to work just throwing money at things. It has to be looked after, and we have to safeguard the future. It's not about let's get loads of money and spend it and that's it. This is about progression. As for free properties, goods and services, well, technically the funds if is free services in some cases, if that's what that proposal is. Someone's struggling to get to work and their car's broke, and they put a proposal in and it gets accepted by the members, then they will get free services. But there's no definitive, well, you're going to get this and you're going to get that. We're not OPPT, where they're telling people we're all going to get $6 billion in gold or something else, or ET packages. It's not going to work that way. What happened to the war enemy of Admiral Byrd when he fought in Antarctica in 1947 and later on? Is this enemy still existing nowadays? And if yes, what role does it play? It still exists, but it's hampered in what it can achieve or carry out due to the peace treaty. Several in the alt community claim the Magyars were the original humans on our planet, and the language of the Magyar was universally spoken language the world over until the confusing language such as in the Tower of Babel. How did the Magyar fit into the whole of the Urs, Rus and Slavonic Aryans? Magyars are part of that western migration of the Rus, going back a long time. But the Urs were the originals. That's what Urs means, the originals. They taught the Rus and also the Slavonic Aryans, and that grew and went west. as far as Ireland, and also across the pond to America, Canada, and South America as well. So part of that is correct, and part of it's not. Are you aware of cryptophyllum and biomagnetic therapies to get rid of it? No, I'm not, sorry. Who will assume responsibility and control of regulatory agencies such as the FDA, EPA, FCC and DOE? The government and Congress, because most of those organisations are not under oversight currently. Preferably a cleaned up government. Do you believe there will be a debt jubilee in America? No, there's been no mention of it whatsoever. It's not to say that that's cast in stone, but there's been no mention of it currently. How did Marduk lose control of the trust? Well, the contract was up, and indiscretions by the role of the former trustee also added in the mix. Yes, he's dead permanently, and that's the end of him. I was just re-listening to the Must Listen To show number 1, Future of Humanity. Is the energy wave you discussed still flowing? Yes, it's been flowing since 2002. That's when it first started to arrive. Only for time. Let's see if we can fit one more in. How are you both hanging on with all the stress? We're doing okay. You've got to have nerves of steel and patience beyond all reason doing this job. But we're doing fine, thank you.